www.lawmanguitars.com. Hey, have I got an awesome, really cool, unusual guitar for you today. Now, you all know I sell tons of Harmony, Silvertone, K guitars. That's because I started my business on eBay 20 years ago when eBay first got started selling Harmony, Silvertone, and K guitars, because that's what I knew. I grew up with these guitars. However, what I have for you today is a Harmony-made guitar called a Barclay. Now, you don't run into many Barclays. There's a few of them out there, but there's not many of them. And this is a 1967 Barclay H74-3 Meteor. Now, how do we know it's 1967? We peek inside this sound hole here, and there's an F67 in there, which tells us it was made in the fall of '67. And it also has the model number in there, the H74-3, which if you look that up on the Harmony website, it shows you this guitar. Now, there's not a ton of information out there about Barclays. Matter of fact, I went to the Silvertone expert who answers a lot of questions about these old guitars for me, and he had a tear sheet that showed the guitar from a catalog, and he says he thought that they came from the W.T. Grant's department store. That's where these guitars were sold, and that's where he had his tear sheet from. Now, all these guitars that Harmony made, they made them for Grants, they made them for Sears and Penneys and Wards, and they put them in the stores. But the other thing that they did is they sold these guitars in catalogs. They didn't have tons of music stores out there, especially when rock and roll first started going, and so they wanted to get these guitars out there. They put them in their catalogs, and W.T. Grant's had a catalog as well, and that's where these Barclays were known to be sold. Just a little information, I looked up W.T. Grant's today, found out that they also were charged with the largest bankruptcy ever at that time, back in the early 80s when they went bankrupt. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So anyway, let's talk about the guitar itself. It has the DeArmond Moustache pickups. Love these gold foils. They are very, they're just full of flavor. I'll tell you, these pickups always sound great. It's got a Bobcat tailpiece. We're familiar with this. Then it's got the cupcake knobs on it, which we're familiar with those. They use those more on the 50s guitars, and they must have brought some of these back for this guitar. And then it's got the Fender Style Headstock, which is also very reminiscent of the Bobcats, but then it's got a Meteor body, and it's a really nice, pretty body. It's got, of course, the original bridge on it as well, which is just, gosh, it's in great shape. It's got the same pickup spacers they use, the wood pickup spacers they use in the Meteors, and then, of course, the same shape pickguard, but it says Barclay USA on it. And then, of course, it says Barclay USA up on the top. Now, I'm happy they say Barclay USA because there's some misinformation out there that says Barclays were made in Japan. Now, that is incorrect. There were some Barclays later on, much later on, that were made in Japan, but these 60s guitars were all Harmony made right in Chicago. So don't be mistaken by that. Now, you know, it's got the Harmony open back Waverly tuners. I mean, it's a Harmony guitar. It's even got the Harmony strap button on it. So, I mean, it's very familiar to those of us who know Harmony guitars. I just wasn't familiar that much with Barclays. I just haven't really had many. I think this might be the first one. So anyway, the guitar plays great. We had our tech set it up. Didn't really require a whole lot. The guitar really was just not played that much. I'll get to the case here in just a minute. It's been around, but apparently the guitar spent most of its life in that case. It plays great all the way up and down the neck. I mean, it just, you know, it's really easy to play. It's got, let's see, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. It's got 20 frets, and it plays just as easily up here as it does on the top. So I'm in the neck position. Let's talk about that. Very nice, very tasty neck pickup on this guitar. It's in really a good position. A lot of these are pushed closer to the neck itself. They moved it back just a little bit, which I think gives it just a little bit more flavor back there. Of course, the perfect position would be right here. If you had one pickup, that's where you want it. So they kind of just moved it back a little bit, which I like. I've got this set up with 10s. It'll definitely take 11s. You know, back in the day, they probably had 12s on it. You know, back then, just a quick story, we used to put B strings on our wound Gs because you couldn't bend them. They were just so stiff, and we could see these other guitar players, you know, on television. They're bending, and we could hear it on the records, and it's like, how are they doing that? We can't bend these G strings. They're too stiff. So we started putting B strings on our G string, and all of a sudden we could bend. So, you know, when they came out with lighter gauge super slinkies, we were in heaven because, well, I'll tell you what, we were playing on 13s and 12s, and they were just, yeah. So anyway, the guitar is designed to have much heavier strings. I like these with 10s. 11s would be outstanding. They give it just a little more tone with 11s. Let's put them together. Let's go all the way back. Woo! Super responsive. Now you can tighten this with this little bolt right here. You can tighten it or loosen it. We got it nice and loose. I always get asked, does the guitar stay in tune while using the whammy? Most guys don't use whammies, of course, and you know, these are not designed to be dive bombed on, but they're an effect. What you want to do is give them just a little tap back up, and it resets it. And they stay very nicely in tune. I mean, I've got new strings on here, which are probably still stretching, and it still sounds great. Oh, baby. Oh, okay. This guitar is just a blast to play. What a beautiful guitar, a Barclay. Just like the Harmony Meteors, with some nice appointments with the Fender looking headstock and the whammy bar that is on the Silhouettes and the Bobcat. So it's very unusual. There just aren't many of these out there. Now we got original case with it, and like I said, it's been whooped. We did a little gluing on it and got it back together again, but it's still here. It's the gray and white case, just like all the Harmonies came in. All the latches are here. Accessory box is even still here. Nice, beautiful red plush. I mean, the guitar looks like the inside of this case. It's beautiful in here. It's just been doing its job. I mean, it's just all beat up on the outside. Obviously, it's been carted around and just never came out of the case. So you get this gorgeous, gorgeous case on the inside and serviceable on the outside. Do want to point out that there was a crack on the side. I just remembered to tell you about that. Those happen when your lead singer is standing on your chord and you turn quickly, and it pulls the input jack and cracks it. So all those are very thin on the side. I would say at least 70% of those have been cracked there. That one was professionally repaired. It looks very, very nice. I need to point that out. Sorry I missed that before. But gorgeous guitar. Check all of them out at www.lawmanguitars.com. We really appreciate you watching our demos. We've been getting lots of comments about them. And you can go to Facebook and check them out as well, or just Google Lawman Guitars. You'll find us at www.lawmanguitars.com. Thanks a lot for watching my demo.